Hey minions, welcome to Crank It Up. I'm Jim Price, and on this episode of King of the Hill, I want to talk about the Monster Tornado of the Tornadoes. The Monster Tornado has the talent to move a minion a power 4 or less, either to or from its base. Because this can affect you or an opponent, this is a very flexible ability on paper. However, my personal feeling is that, while I like the Tornadoes, this is one ability where I feel like flexibility actually hurts the minion. In my games with the Tornadoes, my experience has been hit or miss with this minion and has mostly been used in an antagonistic fashion. But there are 4 total ways to use the Monster Tornado usually. You can move your minion onto the base, you can move your minion off of it, and you can go the same directions for an opposing minion. But the ability is power capped, and that's an issue for me because it makes it harder to utilize the first 2 plays. Moving your own minions is great. It allows you to spread out on a base and converge later, avoiding power creep in the process. But I'm always skeptical of abilities that don't really work with a faction first, and the truth is that the Tornadoes don't really need Monster Tornado to move them. Unfortunately, Monster Tornado cannot move itself, and that is a significant drawback. This means that you are committed to the Monster Tornado base as your target, which is problematic, because as a talent it seems like an engine minion, and if it is stuck there, you run the risk of losing it when that base is rushed. Of course, the Tornado actions can move the Monster Tornado, but it would have been better if it could move itself. The Cyclone can move itself, and the Monster Tornado will never need to move the Cyclone. In fact, all 3 Tornado minions have self-propelled movement, but not the one you want to keep out most. The Twister can be moved over, but that's not how I use it. Of course, the situation will drive the usage. But for Dust Devil, I wouldn't move them to my base because I value them as mini Pirate Kings and easy points. So if I'm not pulling my minions in, I must be pushing them off. And there are reasons to do this conceptually, but they are pretty rare. If you have multiple minions on a base, why not just try to win by pulling more in, particularly opposing minions? Outside of playing the Polynesian Voyagers, I cannot recall a single time I moved one of my own minions off the Monster Tornado base unless I was pushing the minion into Trailer Park, but that has its own problems. Pulling a minion in, countless times. Pushing one off, maybe I did, but it clearly wasn't that memorable. This means that the Monster Tornado is primarily an antagonistic minion, and that's great. But because it's antagonistic, it had to be power capped, and because it is power capped, the ability to move your own minions suffers, because it means that you cannot move your best minions. Any minion that is growing in power over time, waiting for its moment, cannot be moved by the Monster Tornado. When I see a base like Trailer Park, I get really excited because it means that I can farm power counters, but the power cap means that eventually the Monster Tornado can no longer move it. So it seems like it wants to be an engine, but the engine, for your individual minions, stops prematurely. For example, Monster Tornado could never move a powered up Wayfinder. Instead of being a correction for an extremely problematic type of movement, it is unable to help, and you rely on your actions to fix the problem. When I'm manipulating other minions, I love the Monster Tornado. I will constantly pull in opposing minions to make my base more efficient. Because of the Tornado specials, I can move someone in, then kick them off if I have no other means to increase power. I can send minions into undesirable bases or just keep kicking them off. One thing the power cap does is force someone to play their highest powered minions there to make sure that the Monster Tornado cannot kick them off. If they do this, then I'd be inclined to pull even more opposing minions in and force them to greatly overpay on the base, especially if I can move myself off after it scores. If I can get you to spend both of your kings at the cost of only one of mine, I really like that outcome. Obviously, Monster Tornado can be an excellent high ground partner because it serves both functions. If they play a minion on a different base, Monster Tornado can pull them in and destroy them. If they play it on the high ground base, Monster Tornado can push them off and either destroy them on a later turn or let the Bear Cavalry finish the job. If the power cap was truly necessary because of the flexibility of the ability, I wonder if the ability could have worked in solely antagonistic fashion, without the power cap. When you look at other minions, Monster Tornado starts to seem weaker. Northern Mover can move any of your other minions, regardless of power. Yokozuna can move any minion off his base and has other abilities as well. Snow White, who is supposed to be weaker than Monster Tornado, can move any minion, regardless of power or controller, to her base. So it seems reasonable that the power cap could have been removed entirely, or lifted and restricted the movement to opposing minions only. Historically, the pirates had primarily self-movement with a little bit of antagonistic movement, while the bear cavalry were the opposite with extremely limited self-movement. I suppose that the tornadoes were supposed to meet in the middle with generic movement, but I wonder if there was a way to get the best of both worlds. Perhaps an aura ability that you can move one of your minions or move a power-capped opponent minion, but this is the ability we have. As it is, the monster tornado cannot do anything that a tornado action cannot already do, so the value lies in the repeatability or the precise timing. I prefer to pair the tornadoes with a faction with action-based power because there's too much risk if you're relying solely on minion quantity, which movement often does. I like the monster tornado with the War Raptor because you are moving a 3 but gaining at least 5 power as a result. War Raptor is just the right amount of power to be sent into Trailer Park and be able to pull back, plus you still have Augmentation and Howl. Similarly, the War Canuck is a good target because it becomes a 4 and becomes a good target for power routine. You can use the Monster Tornado to move Northern Mover, and Northern Mover to move someone else for a quick consolidation, or use Move a Boot to position the Monster Tornado and have it pull someone to follow. Monster Tornado is also great for staging minions on the base for Mountie Major, as Monster Tornado wants to manipulate opposing minions, and Mountie Major benefits from their presence. If you want to make someone really overpay and get around the power cap, Glimmer is great for pulling in nearly any minion into the Monster Tornado base. You can even zero out a minion's power to add nothing but their presence until the start of your next turn, allowing Monster Tornado to have even more time to pull minions over and make your base more efficient. With a card like Enchantment, Monster Tornado can function like a purgatory for opposing minions, while also depowering the Monster Tornado enough so that it can move itself off. If you are playing Munchkin, then there is a fifth way to use the Monster Tornado, and that is to manipulate monsters. This is a great way to throttle a base by either slowing it down or speeding it up. If you send the monster into a base intended for Ruckus, you are speeding up one base even as another closes, setting up a play to send Star Player into the Monster Tornado base with Gone with the Wind. Bigfoot in particular can be a big swing, because it is a 4 when it is moved, but can go to a 7 for a significant stall tactic. But where I think the Monster Tornado has the most impact is on specific bases, which is why I like to pair them with Explorers and increase the chance of seeing the base that I want. On certain bases, Monster Tornado can be fantastic, especially when combined with the Tornado specials. Who cares how many minions an opponent has when they will all be destroyed by Q point? If you have picked up, you can kick off the lone remaining minion for 5 easy points and even persist the Monster Tornado. It's a great minion for Jungle Oasis to close that narrow gap in breakpoint. Obviously ninja bases are a great fit, and Monster Tornado functions as a great form of area control for bases like City of Gold, where players never get to have a minion. It's a fantastic minion for Antarctic base, because it can accelerate you and keep someone off, since only one minion can be played there per turn. In general, I like Monster Tornado, but I do feel that there's a bit more that could have been done with it, because the focus is mostly antagonistic. The power cap definitely hurts, although there are ways to work around it. Even if it's just part of a big drop that adds 4 power by pulling in another minion, there's value to that, but as you know, when I see talent, I immediately think engine, and for a talent with as much flexibility as it has, it still feels restrictive to me. Being able to move a minion to any base would have been nice, which would make it be more than a powered up twister. I really wish it could move itself. Still, if you were looking for a minion that can massively manipulate opposing minions, this is a good candidate. What do you think of the Monster Tornado? Let me know in the comments. That's it for this week. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe. Let's shut it down.